When you look up at the stars, have you ever just wondered if there's some kind of grand design behind it all? Well, today we're going to dive into a really fascinating thought experiment, one that completely reframes our place in the universe. It's called the Cosmic Gardener Hypothesis.
So, this is the core question we're wrestling with today. Is this whole universe thing just an accident? A happy coincidence of random physics? Or what if it's more like an elaborate, intentionally designed garden? The Cosmic Gardener Hypothesis leans hard into that second idea, suggesting our universe is anything but an accident.
Okay, so what does this hypothesis actually say? Well, it imagines that some kind of divine intelligence didn't just light the fuse and walk away. No, this creator is more like an active gardener, constantly cultivating worlds. And here's where it gets really wild. The most provocative part is the idea that humanity itself could be engineered, pre-programmed even, for one specific job: to be its terraforming agents.
All right, to really get our heads around this, we have to start with the first piece of the puzzle, the idea of a divine cosmic gardener. I mean, what kind of arguments are even out there that would point to an intelligent designer working behind the scenes?
This brings us to a really old classic idea in philosophy called the teleological argument. You've probably heard of the watchmaker analogy, right? If you're walking along and find a complex watch just lying there, you'd never think it just happened to assemble itself. You'd know there was a watchmaker. Well, this argument takes that exact same logic and applies it to the whole universe, with all its intricate order.
Now, there's a more modern version of this called the fine-tuning argument, and it's pretty compelling. It points out that the basic rules of physics, things like the force of gravity, the charge of an electron, are dialed in with insane precision. If you tweaked any of them just a tiny bit, poof, life as we know it would be impossible. Now, sure, some people point to things like the multiverse theory, saying that with enough universes, one like ours was bound to happen by chance. But for the sake of this thought experiment, we're looking at that incredible precision as a potential clue, a hint that maybe it was designed on purpose.
And this quote really nails the point. Think about it. If you found a self-replicating machine in the middle of a barren desert, you'd know someone or something created it. So the question becomes, why is finding self-replicating life, the most complex system imaginable, in the vastness of space any different? Shouldn't that also imply a creator?
Okay, so now we get to the really radical part of this whole idea. The suggestion that we, humanity, are the engineered agents for this cosmic gardening project. So, what would that even look like? How would that work?
Well, for humans to pull this off, the hypothesis says we'd need some serious upgrades in 3 key areas. First, you've got biology. We need to be engineered to handle things like insane radiation, crazy temperatures, and alien atmospheres. Second, psychology. We'd need supercharged altruism and patience to work together on goals that might take generations to complete. And finally, society itself would have to transform into something unified with a core mission of stewardship.
But hold on, you might be thinking, why not just use robots for all this? And that's a great question. Robots are amazing for precision, for resilience, for doing dangerous, repetitive stuff. But what would engineered humans bring to the table? Creativity, intuition, that ability to solve problems on the fly. Most importantly, a real sense of stewardship. You see, that's what you need if your goal is to cultivate a living planet, not just construct a sterile outpost on a dead rock.
Okay, but this all leads to the biggest question of all. Why? What's the point of all this cosmic trouble? And according to the hypothesis, the ultimate goal is absolutely mind-bending. It's about preparing a planet, but not for us. It's to make it ready for the arrival of the divine gardener itself.
So, this whole preparation process is said to happen in 3 major stages. First up is primordial cultivation. This is the grunt work, right? The physical terraforming, turning a barren rock into a habitable garden. Next is existential maturation. This is where intelligent life evolves consciousness, a sense of right and wrong, the ability to find meaning. And then the final phase, ontological alignment. Think of it like tuning a cosmic guitar. The entire planet and everyone on it achieves a kind of divine resonance, making it perfectly ready for what comes next.
And that final stage, that's what's called ontological readiness. And we're not just talking about having the right atmosphere or a stable government here. This is something much deeper. It's a profound state of maturity where an entire world is fundamentally prepared to not just welcome, but to actually interact with and integrate a supreme being.
So, what's the end game? What happens when a planet finally hits that state of readiness? Well, the hypothesis lays out a series of truly awe-inspiring final milestones that basically mark the grand finale of this whole cosmic project.
These are called the eschatological milestones. That's just a fancy word for the ultimate final events. And this isn't about a takeover, it's about integration. It all starts with the great seeding, where a divine spark is planted into the world. Then comes the verdant awakening, where life just explodes in a spontaneous, harmonious way. After that, the whispering winds, the idea that even the environment itself gains a kind of consciousness. A divine nexus is then established, a sort of anchor point for this divine power, all leading to the final state, the perpetual bloom, a world that exists forever in a state of perfect, divinely sustained harmony.
And all of this leaves us with one last massive question to chew on. If this cosmic garden is real, and if we are a part of it, then what is our actual role? Are we the gardeners, tending to the universe? Or are we, in the end, the harvest?